Listen, I can explain. So to explain what's happening, I have taken my 71st unintentional year-long break from YouTube. Now, I'm never really intending to take a year off of YouTube every time, but it just kind of happens that way. And this time it happened to be a year and a half. And hopefully next time it's only like a couple of weeks between this video and the next. Possibly, maybe. Now, as an apology to the one viewer of my channel, I think it's only fair that this episode we finally finish up the base. Now, I'm unsure whether I've explained this before or not, because if I can preface this again, it has been a year and a half since I last recorded. So the structure of this base is more in sort of a 3-layer castle type design, where the bottom layer here is where all the poorer peasant people live, and then there'll be a second ring around the site which houses the more wealthy people, and then the third ring is of course royalty. But that was the original plan anyway. However, I cannot for the life of me build houses nor figure out how to design any of this city on either the first, second or third layer. So I ended up scrapping that idea completely and reworking what I already had done to make it into something I actually quite like the end result of. Now before we get to that, we are still missing some islands to populate this area as well as that area back there. So let's get on to that. Now that I've got this section done, we're going to get one more area over there finished of these floating islands, and then we can start on our mega base. Of course, before we get started, we have to add all the smaller details on these little islands, like all the foliage and whatnot, but that shouldn't take too long. And for something that doesn't take so long, I think it adds so much to the life of this build compared to just having nothing on the islands and having them bare. Adding the foliage really makes them look alive. Now if I wanted to go all out, I'd probably add more custom trees, like maybe one on this island that falls outwards a bit, or just change up how all these trees are organised, because right now all the trees of my base are just a series of 5 or 6 trees I built, and they just copy and pasted everywhere. You can probably see a better selection of them here. You've got the smallest tree I built next to the largest tree. Now these trees, especially the big one, took eons to build when you're building them in survival. Even though they copy and pasted from just my creative world, it was a hassle. But as I was saying, I'd have more of these little custom trees all over the place just to add more life to it. And things like this little fallen over tree across this river here, it can really bring life to your build if you add more lived in type things to it and more variation. So going off on the adding life to your build, as you can see, you can do things like this where I've added little green carpets as sort of moss, clumps of moss that have just been pushed into the crevices where they would naturally get pushed by water. So what I've done is, you can see I've imagined water has come through from the waterfall and out down the river, and it's pushed everything else out away from that one main stream of water. So you can see I also have no lily pads there or anything, because I doubt they could survive the current, whereas they'll be much better off surviving on the edges of the current. And then I've also got moss in behind rocks where you'd think no water would be able to push it out the way, and it's kind of just been stuck there in stagnant water, if you will. Just little details like that can really bring life into a build. It helps to think how things would work, even though it's Minecraft and there's no real physics. So for instance, if I was to redesign this island, I would have little chunks falling off of it either side as just sort of more rubble around the island, if you will, instead of just being a clean cut piece of rock that has nothing floating around it. And as well, if I was to redesign this, I wouldn't have the forest so densely compacted, as well as on such a flat area, as well as this untextured ground down here, because personally within my current skill set of building, I am not able to make a decent looking forest floor, especially within this area I've given myself. It's a very flat area, which makes it a lot harder to detail because you're very limited with how much you can use your terrain to break up your texturing. But hopefully in the future I could get a bit better and come back here and critique myself on how I would change this. Now if we come down here, you can really see what I mean. It does not look like a natural forest at all. It's far too flat. There's nothing going on down here. There's no small groves. There's obviously no grass and stuff because I haven't gone and bone milled at all. But even if I did that, there's just nothing happening down here. It's very much just a bunch of trees pasted around. Oh, we found a little hole into the abyss. For those of you who haven't seen it, I have hollowed out this entire area down here using these old TNT dupers. Now it may not look like much right now because you can barely see anything, but I have absolutely obliterated this area, which you can probably see most of a few videos back. But even continuing on this little tangent thing I'm going on, this guy right here, if I was to redo him now, I would texture him a lot differently. Because back then when I made this, it's been a year and a half, okay, I was 19, I was in my teens, I'm a whole ass 21-year-old now. I haven't done much Minecrafting since, but my skills have improved a bit in this past recent half year or so. And I have improved my texturing and building skills quite substantially, in my opinion. There are some things I may be worse at because of my long break, and some things I'm probably better at because I've exposed myself to a lot more good builders now. But I would texture this guy a lot differently, maybe add some corrosion, and instead of doing what I've done here, which is just add darker blocks where I'd think he would be in more shadow from the sun, which I think was actually one of my first innovations in my building career before I took a year and a half off. This was my first ever organic build, but also first ever build where I had textured intently instead of it just being randomized textures. If you catch my drift, this is the first build where I textured with the idea that I meant to get a certain look out of it, where I meant to use the texturing to get more texture on it, if you know what I mean. This has been a long one in the making. I don't know how long it's been since these islands were supposed to go up, but they're finally up. And finally, after I think the season started in January of 2022, we can finally start on the actual legitimate megabase. Now, in full disclosure, I will not be moving out of this area. This will remain my main storage area, storage/trading hall that I pulled apart because of lag. I had 64 villages in here, I think, one for every single trade. But the actual spectacle, the centerpiece, the actual thing that I would call my main base, even though it's technically not, but it was supposed to be, is going to go right there, and it's going to be glorious. So now that I've got this going, you can kind of see the theme I'm going for with this base. It's very much white and blue, and then we've got this massive crystal in the middle that lore wise I think it was supposed to be like holding up all the floating islands, because as you can see here on the smaller ones, I've got these little crystals here and then one over here, and in my head canon they're like what's keeping the islands floating. They're some sort of magical power, whatchamacallit, whatever, and they're what's giving the islands and whatnot energy to stay afloat. And I might even add some bigger ones to these big rocks over here, because I don't think I added any to these ones just yet. But this big one in the middle is supposed to be keeping this whole thing afloat, and it's also why they built their central castle on this little area. Now what you see here is the first of the 3 rings of the space. So we got one layer here, another one here, and a third one up there. And these won't stay hollow forever. They're going to have walls built up in them to fill this out. You know, I didn't quite realize how large this area is down here on the ground. I've never actually walked around this thing yet. And then this big oval thing, I have no memory of why I built it like this. I think I just thought it would look cool. And it kind of does when the base is finished, but you also can't really see it, but I think it also just brings it all together a bit more. So I'm going to get working on finishing this up in another time lapse. And with that, she is all but done. Now we've got one more bridge to add that goes from this little door down here across here and to there. But other than that, the mega base is damn near done. Now there is a little bit that I didn't build because after building it like this, after putting these things, I kind of preferred it without the top little platform on there, because originally in the original build there's a sort of grass platform up here which I was going to build a massive tree, but I kind of don't have time for that. But I actually kind of prefer it like this, as this open sort of area. And then we've got the massive crystal, of course, in here. Tip of the iceberg style though, most of it's down here. But yeah, this is the end result of the castle thing I was going to build. I actually kind of like this. You can kind of see the remnants of what I was going for originally with the 3-layer sort of castle type thing, but I think at the end I just didn't make this build big enough for what I wanted. I think if I was going to make it how I wanted with the poorer layer down here, the noble layer, then the royal layer, I would have to make the whole build a lot bigger, but that didn't happen. So I'm going to finish off that one bridge and then we can finally call this complete. This has been such a long time coming. My god, it is finally done. I actually can't believe it. I've had this base, this area, I finished all the terrain work in this area nearly 2 years ago now, I think. All this outer terrain work, and it's finally done. I actually don't know how to think. I have been building this. I first came up with the idea for this base when we started the season in, it must have been January sometime of 2022. That is how long it has been. Now, it wasn't always this type of base, but I had the idea for the terrain pretty much instantly that I wanted to just knock out an entire area. At first it was more going to be that sort of colour palette with all the copper, and it was going to be sort of steampunky, but then I realised copper wasn't. At the time I thought copper was, for some reason, instead of being the 9x9 like every other ore block, I thought it was 4x4. So I completely underestimated how much copper I'd actually need. And of course, there's no really insanely efficient copper farm that could get you millions of blocks. So scrap that idea, went for this colour palette instead, and I'm actually quite happy with it. Maybe in the future I'll revisit the copper idea for a base, now that we've got the trial chambers, but that's not right now. It's so weird being in a base you designed years ago and haven't touched since. Like, I don't remember placing all these blocks, but I've clearly done it at some point. I do remember building this though. I remember at the time, because on Fabric there is no connected glass mod for whatever reason, so you had to use the, I don't know if it was built in or part of another mod, I can't remember, but there was this resource pack that made connected glass, but it was insanely buggy. But now I think it's actually been completely fixed. I don't know if I have any old if I can find any old screenshots of what it looked like, I'll put them up here now. But oh, it looks so much better. I actually considered going to Optifine for like a second there a couple of years ago, just because I wanted this piece to look good. But I ultimately decided against it because Optifine sucks. It sucks. But yeah, with that, our base is done. I wonder how it looks from down here. I have actually not seen it from down here yet. Man, that looks cool. I love big things in the distance behind trees. That is one of my favorite views when it comes to building, things behind trees that you can just see through them. God, that's great. And then we got this guy here. I'm actually interested in building more statues in the future. This is actually kind of proud of this build, I'm not gonna lie, even though I have a lot of criticisms of it. Man. And you can see here something I've done with this water. I've tried to make sure all the water flows in this singular direction, because what I imagined is the wind's coming from the sea and it's like a draft going this way, a very heavy draft going this way. So I've tried to make all the water kind of flow in the exact same direction, if you will. Of course, behind this it would be a bit less since the wind can't go straight through this, so the water coming off of, say, this one for example, isn't being pushed quite as much as, say, this one, which actually I was kind of happy with this idea. I've got the water going through the pillar here, so it's kind of been split in the middle. I really like that when I built it, but you can see it's pushed a lot more. The one over there is kind of going down at this sort of angle, where this one's going straight this way, and same with this one over here. Now there's still a couple things to clean up, like I've still got some scaffolding left over. I don't remember where this connects to. I don't want to be down here. But yeah, with that, this build is finally done. So I think because I've spent almost 4 years in the same area, I might put myself in a boat, chuck my items in a chest, and sail off somewhere over there and start a new little area away from all the busyness of this former SMP. Actually, God, there's so much lore and history in this world. We've got a group over there, their base from way back, a shopping district, another guy's base, Justin's base, Justin's friend's base, the cavalry. That man has copious amounts of farms. This is all Justin's base. Before we go, I'm going to take one last look at the view I originally had. So my original plan was you stumble across this path here and then you walked through and you came out and just got hammered with an amazing view. And I have not seen this view yet. Let's go. Oh, I'm happy with that. My original plan was you walk through here, you think it's just a flat land. There's just a castle in the distance. You walk through here, and bam, you realize that there's a whole biome down here, and it's a lot bigger than you thought. Oh, I love that. Oh, it's all come together so well. There's one I know I said that was the last. There's one final definitely last view I want to see. I need wood. I don't know if I have any wood. For the very final view, let's see, I built this cave so long ago. This originally did not connect all the way through, but I put in a lot of time and effort to drain this area and then refill it with water. This is really deep, by the way. The water here goes down really deep. This is painful. This was painful to do. But oh yes. Oh, I love this. And then we go all the way down here, under the wood, and we're here. I did not mean to break those. I love this area, man. I was so proud of this little river when I built it. It masks all the unfinished forest I have. Okay, I just remembered. There's one very, 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 very final thing we must do. Now, I remember where this is because I looked through my old recordings. I actually recorded like half of this ep like 2 years ago, completely forgot about it and didn't finish it, so I looked through a bunch of the recordings and I found this chest, this shulker box with all these diamonds, and we are going to need all these diamonds because, as you can see here, this civilization likes to use diamonds as a decoration in their build. Now, why on earth would they have diamonds in these two bridges and not their massive castle? Well, it's because they do have diamonds in the massive castle. I just haven't put them there yet. I shouldn't need too many. And there we go. 2 stacks turned into 4.5. I still have a few left. 41 diamond blocks, and I'm going to get into placing all of the diamond blocks we have left. Okay, with that, I've got all the diamonds in, and my god, there's so many diamonds. Like this. Why have I put diamonds up there? You'll never be up here to see them. The worst offender are those diamonds above my head. Who is gonna be in here? You can't even get in here. Why did I put 8 diamonds in each of these towers that you can't even see? 8 diamond blocks. My good god. But yeah, there's diamonds everywhere. There's diamonds in the towers, diamonds in the bridges, more diamonds in places you cannot see. Oh, what did I think when I was designing all this? I think I overestimated how many diamonds I got from mining all of this. I was gonna see how many diamonds there were, but I think I may have built some of the islands out of diamonds in my testing world, so I don't think that's entirely accurate. Okay, now that she is actually finished, has got all the final touches, we can chuck all of our items into a chest and boat off into the distance. I just want to stay on here one last time because I really like this guy. Okay, I don't know if I've talked about this yet. I don't remember. I haven't watched the video in a long time. But this route right here is my absolute favorite. Look how smooth that curve is. I just came over here because I want to check out the routes one more time because I really like them, but look how smooth that is. I am going to go over here, chuck my items in a chest, and we're going to boat till we find something interesting. You know, I want to have an island. I want to stay on an island. I'm going to boat until I find an island, and then we can set up from there. I'm just going to go this direction until I find a big island with nothing around it, and I think I'm going to set myself up there. Who knows, maybe we come back here one day, maybe we don't. I'm going to miss it though. Damn, that looks cool in the background. Oh, the custom trees as well. I'm going to miss that. Anyway, onwards to newer and better things.